why we don't have a Latin American strategy. Now, what do I mean by that? Coca-Cola has a Latin American strategy, all right? Toyota has a Latin American strategy. Companies that we know of have they call them typically group vice presidents, responsible for a region of the world. And they have budgets and goals, and then they execute strategies market by market to try and gain market share in those markets. And if they're not successful, they get fired. And new people take their place and are given new budgets, and they work to try and be successful in a region. I believe that our nation ought to have an individual responsible for Latin America, for our strategy in Latin America, to promote human rights, democracy, free trade, and so forth. Not militarily necessarily, but somebody who uses all of our resources, our education resources, our healthcare capacities to help. I mean, Castro, for instance, in Latin America, if you ask people, what is the miracle operation? Most of them know the miracle operation is cataract surgery that's performed all throughout Latin America by Castro's doctors. It's known throughout the area. Great positive support for Castro by virtue of doing that. Well, let's us be smart. Let's us use our dollars in such a way that we show our goodness to the people of Latin America. Let's have an individual responsible for promoting American values in each region of the world, and have that person have a budget that is appropriated by Congress, a committee to report to, and have the American people see whether they're succeeding or not succeeding. And I would like to do that in Latin America, where we play an active role in helping nations like Colombia. One of our best allies in Latin America and South America is Colombia, standing up to Venezuela's Hugo Chavez, and yet we refuse to give them most favored nation trade status. How can that be? Well, because the American labor movement doesn't want the president that they supported to do so. Look, we've got to have a strategy for Latin America that includes standing by our friends and moving those people that are on the edge more towards democracy and away from Hugo Chavez. Thanks for your question. Appreciate it.
Good evening, Governor Romney. So the first question tonight was about President Obama's new policy on nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
Earlier tonight you talked about the hypothetical weaker power U.S., one in which we could not predict the actions of dictators like Kim Jong-il or larger countries like China influencing Taiwan. So my question is, do you think this new policy will move the United States towards a weaker world stance, like in your hypothetical, and if it'll influence the behavior of dictators like Kim Jong-il and others around the world?
I think the president's overall foreign policy, as I described it, which seems to be retreating in some respects from our friends, and yet treating our foes as if we're walking on eggshells. I think that weakens us and makes it less likely over long periods of time that we will be able to restrain the worst actors in the world and protect democracy and freedom. I think my personal view on this nuclear reduction treaty is it's designed to be a window dressing of look what I did, I've reduced nuclear weapons, when in fact it has left Russia with thousands, over 10,000 nuclear weapons. And it will reduce our nuclear capacity, but leave Russia with an extraordinary nuclear capacity. And ignoring that and not making the American public aware of that is something I find hard to understand. And why the mainstream media doesn't say, wait a second, what's going on here? Why did you agree to negotiate only on strategic without negotiating on theater nuclear weapons? So I'm afraid we're making mistakes. The decision, for instance, with our Navy had 600 ships. The Navy said we need at least 313 ships to fulfill our missions around the world. We're now down to about 279, on our way to about 215. We will not be able to fulfill the missions of the United States Navy at that level. These things weaken us. I can't tell you when it will result in a dictator or an authoritarian actor doing something that will be harmful to humanity or to America. But I can tell you that over a long period of time, weakness invites terrible action.
Let's take one more question from this microphone before we have to wrap up.
We're gonna sign some books and then we're gonna let you go. Thank you.
Thank you very kindly. And kind of supplemental to the previous question, you've been commenting on the START Treaty. I'm wondering if you could also comment on the nuclear posture review that the President Obama announced earlier this week, which seems to be tending toward unilateral disarmament.
I am not a unilateral disarmament person. In a world where what's being discussed is nuclear proliferation, where Iran is rushing headlong to become a nuclear nation, where North Korea is, and if Iran becomes nuclear, you can be sure that many other nations will, particularly if there have been no sanctions. If there is no cost to any nation to pursue nuclear weapons, you can be sure that many other nations will do so. In a setting like that, for America to say, hey, let's us get rid of our nuclear weapons. Let's us reduce, at the same time, our missile defense shield. This, in my opinion, makes no sense at all. This is not a time for us to be saying we're going to reduce our nuclear capability. We're not going to modernize our nuclear capability. We're going to unilaterally reduce it. We're going to put up a missile or eliminate our missile defense shield. That's, in my opinion, all the wrong course. I do not know. I want to underscore here. I don't think the president has said we're unilaterally going to eliminate our nuclear deterrent capacity. I don't think he said that. I don't know that I would attribute that to him. But I can tell you, anybody with that sentiment, I think would be misguided. And that at a time like this, we should not be reducing, we should not be pulling back from our missile defense system. We should recognize that it is an element of our strategic defense which must be maintained, modernized, brought up to date, and recognized as a great source of American strength. You guys, you're kind to be here. I appreciate the chance to be with you.
I hope you'll all join me in once again thanking Governor Romney and Jeff Jacoby for a great program tonight. Governor will be in the back signing books for a bit. And I want to thank you all for participating. This is what the Ford Hall Forum is all about. You come here, people, you get to ask questions. Please participate. Check out our website, fordhallforum.org. Yeah, you can